Well, I think the one thing that is fairly obvious in this game when you watch this last game against LSU is, when we do things correctly, which we did a lot of good things in this game, good things happen for us. And but there's also some occasions where, we don't execute correctly, and the other team, takes advantage of those opportunities. Two plays on defense, 115 yards, in misalignment, mental error, whatever you want to call it. And same thing on offense, whether it's ball security issues or not taking advantage in the red zone or some of the third down issues, that we had at times in the game. So all these things are, things that I think our players need to understand the importance of execution, the importance of creating, the right kind of habits every day in practice so that you can continue to improve. And, that's certainly going to be our focus this week. We're very pleased that, Smitty's the offensive player of the week, certainly deserves it, had a fantastic game and has done a great job for us all year long. It's always a challenge. Arkansas to me has, a really, really good team that their record really doesn't reflect how well they've played. They lost 3 games this year by a total of 7 points, or they'd be 6-3 instead of 3-6. They present some, unique challenges with, the fastball offense that they run, which, we need to do a much better job this time around facing this kind of offense. Their defense has, played well in terms of especially pass defense, getting turnovers, leading the SEC, I think, in turnover ratio and leading the league in the number of turnovers they've gotten this year. They got some really good players on offense. The quarterback does a good job, Felipe Franks. They got a really good receiver in Burks, and they've got good runners. And, they do a great job of executing their scheme. They know what they need to do on offense. And their defense has played, really well in terms of it's not really a bend, don't break style, but they play the run fairly well, and they've played really good pass defense. And I think it's going to be, a real challenge for us to be able to execute, take care of, and do things that we need to be able to control the tempo of the game on offense, because I think that's really important when you play teams like this. And, these guys have been real sound and solid on special teams. So, they play hard, and, the coach has done a really, really good job. Sam's done a really good job, I think, of getting these guys, to really, come together and play hard, believe in themselves. And they just had a couple tough losses, which, I'm sure that they're learning from, and we have to assume that we're going to get their best game.
Okay. We will start with John Zener of the Associated Press.
Yes, Coach. It seems like even with all the opt-outs and injuries, you look around the league, and most of these teams have a top wide receiver, top tight end, some dangerous playmakers in the passing game. Has it become, I don't want to say easier to get these kind of players to come to SEC, but obviously they're it's competitive and everything with the SEC. But do you see a lot more of those type of guys coming to the SEC the last few years?
Well, I've been in the SEC for a long time now, and I've always thought that, there were a lot of good players in the SEC, and I can't really say that I think the league is as strong as it's ever been. I think there's more good programs. I think there's more good coaches, and I think that's probably what attracts more good players. But, even way back when, there were a lot of great players in the SEC. I just think the league is better from top to bottom now. And that's probably because of the skilled players on offense and people's capabilities of scoring points and making plays. I mean, we're giving up 18.5 points a game. There were 10 years ago, we gave up 8 points a game. And it's a pretty big difference, in terms of what it takes to play good defense against the kind of offenses and the kind of skilled players that you see right now in this league.
We'll go with Michael Casagrande.
Yes. How would you assess the way your team's coming out of the halftime locker room after taking big leads in recent weeks, and how hard is it to restart that engine after taking a big lead in the first half?
I think the emphasis is always there is no scoreboard. You want to come out and play and reestablish the tempo of the game in the second half. I think there's been times when we've done this fairly well, and there's been times when, we've had a couple slow starts. So, it's always something that you're trying to focus on and work with, with the team. That's really, really important to make good halftime adjustments and get the players come out to reestablish the tempo in the second half. And, we've kind of been up and down in that regard, but something that we certainly want to continue to focus on.
Go with Brett Hudson.
LSU threw at Josh Jobe a few times early in that game, and he's been targeted more frequently lately than he was in the beginning of the season. How do you think he stood up to that?
I think Josh has played really well for us, and they threw the ball at Patrick just as much as they threw at him. So, sometimes we're not playing man-to-man every down. So when a guy catches an out route in front of you, that doesn't necessarily mean you did a poor job. But the big thing is we didn't give up explosive plays when we were in coverage. One of the mental errors in the game was a miscommunication. Wasn't really all his fault. He's supposed to be communicated to by other players. So we just weren't on the same page. But I think Josh has done a really good job for us. He's really maintained a level of consistency in his play, which has really been good all year long.
We'll go with Jeff Spiegel.
Nick, I know road games can be stressful on coaches, but how much more stressful are they when COVID-19 comes into play?
Well, I think it's always a concern when in the circumstance that we all live in now, which I think we all should be concerned about, is, when you can stay in your bubble, there's a little more sort of security, safety involved in that because you're around the same people. You can social distance, you can wear a mask. I think once you sort of go out, fly around on an airplane, go to a hotel, you're probably exposed to a little more. So that's always a little concerning to us. And we certainly do everything that we can to educate the players on, how to stay safe in those situations. So, and we're going to try to continue to do that. But, we have to play games on the road. So we have to be able to manage that situation the best we can.
Aaron Suttles.
Nick, I know you had a misalignment that allowed an explosive play, a running play against LSU, but 3 of the last 4 opponents you've held under 100 yards rushing. How have you seen your front 7 develop in that regard, and how has Will Anderson's play and his development played into that?
Well, I think Will's played well for us. I think Chris Allen's played well for us. I think both outside backers have. I think we have more guys playing with more consistency up front. We're rotating, 6, 7 guys in there in the defensive line, and they're all doing a pretty good job. And, I think, Dylan and Christian Harris are more experienced at the linebacker position. And I just think we're playing much better together as a team. I think all those things contribute to it. I think the tackling's been a little bit better than it was earlier in the year. So I think all those things really contribute to it. The run force has been better. So we just got to keep on harping on the fact that if everybody does their job, we have a chance for the defense to work because we're playing team defense and everybody's playing together.
Charlie Potter.
Hey, Coach. Now that you guys know you'll be playing in Atlanta next week, how important will it be to get the guys to not look ahead and overlook this Arkansas team?
Well, I think it's really important. I think this is our next game. This is what we need to be focused on. We need to respect their team. Their team's capable of beating anybody that they've demonstrated, all year long. So there's no question about the fact that, this is a little bit of a historic game for us too. We've only had one team around here that went undefeated. And it wasn't as difficult for that team to go undefeated as it is for this team playing, 10 SEC games. So I think anytime you play on the road in the SEC, you've got to be ready to play. And you got to respect the fact that the team that you're playing certainly is capable of beating you if you don't execute, which was, the point made in the beginning of this statement. When we execute, good things happen. When we don't, we allow the other team opportunities on both sides of the ball.
Tony Sakalas.
Do you remember having a team as balanced as the one you do this year? And then what does that speak of the play of your offensive line, that you guys are able to, excel both in the passing game and in the running game?
Well, the offensive line has done a really good job. I mean, sometimes I try to give them credit, and then people say that I'm not giving somebody else on our team credit. But basically, I think it all starts there. They do a really, really good job. That's why we ran the ball very efficiently and effectively in the last game. And other than, taking a sack at the end of the game that we probably really shouldn't have taken, they've done a good job in pass protection, which allows the quarterback to make plays, which allows the receivers to make plays. So I think it all starts up front. And I think those guys have done a really good job all year long. And, it's going to be important that we continue to be able to control the line of scrimmage if we're going to be able to control the tempo of the game on offense.
Okay, 2 more. We'll go with Mike Rodak.
How would you evaluate how Bryce Young has played this year and how the offense has played around him when he's been on the field?
Well, I don't know if it's fair to, we're trying to get Bryce experience, and obviously the more experience he gets, the more confidence that he'll have. We've tried to put him in games where, we left good players around him so that he would have some opportunities. And, he's still learning and he's still growing. And I think it's, going to be important for us to continue to enhance his development so that if he has to play, he's going to be able to go in there and play winning football for us.
We'll finish up with Ryan Hennessy.
Coach Felipe Franks, you've been in the SC for a couple of years, new team now. What kind of challenges does he bring on Saturday against you guys?
Well, he's a very talented guy. He's a very good passer. I think he has a good understanding of what they're doing on offense. He gets the ball to the right guys. They've had some pretty good playmakers. 16 is really a good player for them. They've been able to have balance and on the offense with, and they present a lot of challenges with the formations and adjustments. And he does a good job of orchestrating all that. And he's athletic enough to beat you with his feet. If you get him covered sometimes on third down, he runs for a first down. He scrambles, extends plays. He's a very good player.
All right, Coach. Thanks.